It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. Welcome to Falcon Focus, episode number 16 here in season number 5. We are presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. My name is Matt Menzel. Our focus this week in segment number 2 will be softball. We'll be joined by senior outfielder Sydney Erdman. But up first, our focus will be on baseball as we talk with junior catcher and right-handed pitcher Owen Burns. Owen, thanks a lot for your time. And let's get right to it. Talking about your baseball background. When did you first start playing the game?
Had to be T-ball, man. Probably like 4 or 5 years old, back on the old Goodwill fields, back home. Those small fields, man, limestone.
So T-ball is the beginning.
Yeah.
What other sports did you play growing up?
I didn't really. I did soccer for a day, and then I quit because it
Day.
was too much running. I hate it. It was not
You
fun.
knew after a day that was it.
Yeah, my mom came and apparently me and my brother complained. We're like, we cannot do this anymore. So soccer was a no-go. We did basketball in middle school up until freshman year of high school. I was a B team gladiator, you could call it. And
Okay.
after that, we retired because we're a little height challenged.
So what was it about baseball that stuck as your sport?
I don't know. I just got addicted to it at an early age. Like, my dad wasn't a person that would push me to do things if I didn't want to. It was kind of like, if you like it, keep doing it. And so I just found that natural love for it, and I just stuck with it. All my free time growing up, I would just spend just doing all kinds of different baseball things in my backyard.
So growing up, did you have some favorite players you looked up to in Major League Baseball?
Oh yeah, I'm from Illinois, so I was a Cubs fan, and those were some dark times, man. Back in those 100 loss
It got
seasons,
better though.
it did get
got
better.
better.
It did get better, but those 100 loss seasons, there's some dark ages where those are my favorite players, like Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney, Jeff Samardzija. Just growing up, the ones you watch as a kid, those are the ones that stick with you.
How about today? You still follow the Cubs
Oh yeah,
closely?
oh yeah.
Happy
Today,
about Craig Counsell?
I didn't even know they fired David Ross until they did. I didn't even know his job was on the line. That shocked me. But today, I'm a Nico Horner guy.
Okay, very well. A Northwoods League guy turned Major League Baseball athlete. When you look at pitching, and we mentioned you have that dual ability, catching, pitching. When did you first start pitching?
I didn't even pitch in high school.
Is that right?
Yeah, I only caught in high school. I would pitch every now and then for a summer team or something, but never consistently. I only ever caught.
So how did that come about that you were going to pitch here at the collegiate level?
It was towards the end of freshman season. We were kind of just messing around, and then Skipper walked in on me throwing a bullpen, and it was kind of like, well, you don't look horrible. You want to throw some live at some point? I'm like, sure, I don't care. So threw some live. He was impressed, and he said, let's just try it out next fall when I come back as a sophomore, and we ran with it last year.
Has it come naturally for you?
Yeah. I mean, I never really struggled with it. When I picked it up and would do it when I was younger in high school and stuff. It was just I always threw strikes. That was the biggest thing. It's I never had overpowering velocity. I would just be able to command my stuff, throw strikes, get guys to just get themselves out.
So then how long have you been catching?
Oh, 8 years old.
Really?
Yeah, apparently I couldn't catch. They were trying to teach us how to catch a ball like an outfielder with your glove up, but I just would always catch it sideways. So they just grabbed a catcher's mitt, threw it on my hand, and they're like, try to catch the ball now. And I still caught it, so they just stuck with it since then.
And you enjoyed it with all that gear on back then?
Yeah, it didn't bother me. People complain that it gets hot and stuff back there, but I don't think it does.
Obviously, having that experience, both catching and pitching, is very unique because obviously when you're catching, you tend to know what the pitcher might be thinking, vice versa. How has that helped you in those dual roles?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they're a different breed, and just being able to be in their head and knowing what they're thinking, it's that much more important as a catcher. Because if I'm able to know the cues from all our guys on our staff, I can help them out when they're struggling a little bit, and I can just rope them back in. I'm like, hey, this is your cue. Let's get back to it. Let's get back on the same page.
And one of those catchers currently on the Falcon roster is a freshman at Connor Lashman. You've had the opportunity to work with him when you're on the mound. How has he been developing, and how's that working relationship for you two?
He's a big kid, man. When he came in, I was like, dang, this kid he can swing it. Like, he's got that size to him, and it's intimidating, especially to see as a freshman. But overall, I think he's come leaps and bounds since he walked in this fall. His defense has improved drastically, and I think there's still tons of room to grow for him. But overall, he's been able to swing that bat since day one, and you continue to see that still today.
How about from a catching perspective for you? Have you gotten a pretty good feel for what this Falcon pitching staff is all about, what they can throw, where their pitches may land? You got a pretty good sense of all that?
Yeah, I mean, most of these guys I've seen since I was a freshman or even last year, but this year it's been tough just seeing like some of the results we have had as a pitching staff because you've probably looked at the numbers. They're not the prettiest, but I know what our guys are capable of, and some of the things that have happened just seem almost like a little bit of a fluke. And so, like, deep down, I have that trust that I know we're going to get the job done because a lot of guys that we have are returning from last year, and we had a very good staff last year.
And to be fair, when you look at the non-conference slate, it has been a challenging non-conference slate so far, and so some of that comes into play. Weather in some cases have come into play. It's been some pretty breezy days out there at Capco Park. When you look at this pitching staff, who are some of the harder throwing pitchers on this staff?
Harder throwing, like velocity-wise?
Sure.
Definitely had Connor Krostek until he went down with injury for now. Zach Sloan can get it up there. He's been up to 88, 89 before in the past. Tyler Bartzak's been up to 91, 92. Ben Spears, he's been up to 90, 91. Apparently, I got up to 88 the other day, allegedly.
Is that right?
Allegedly. I think it was a mystery, but I don't know. Apparently, it happened.
Where do you think your velo's at?
I mean, typically, I'm like 83, 84, 85.
Okay.
But I was pretty upset the other day, so.
So the gum was a little bit hot in your opinion?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Or I had some juices flowing.
How about your pitching repertoire? What is your repertoire?
Mine personally?
Yep.
Fastball, changeup, some kind of breaking ball that moves.
As you said, just throw strikes. That's the mindset.
Yeah, I just try to attack with the fastball. That's basically all I do. It's my best pitch, so I'm going to just throw it as much as I can until I get beat with it.
As a relief pitcher, how far in advance do you know that you may be hot one day or another? Do you know going in that, hey, you may pitch today?
It's more like a mindset thing, I would say, just because when Skip writes the lineup, he writes down pitchers that may throw that day. And so if your name's on that list, you got to be mentally prepared to go in at any time. And so, like, different guys on our staff have different roles, and we know that, and it's about embracing that role. And so, like, knowing when you need to be ready. So, like, if you're a later inning guy, you know, like, hey, we're in, like, the 4th or 5th. He could go to me a little earlier, but I got to be ready for, like, the 7th, 8th, 9th.
You know this. Starting pitchers, sometimes when they know they're about to pitch, their game day routine, look out. Stay away. Don't talk to them. Don't make eye contact with them. They're in that zone. They're getting themselves mentally ready. How about for a relief pitcher? Do you have a game day routine? If you know you could potentially pitch, do you go through, a routine and just mentally or even physically getting ready for what could be?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done as much this year just with catching a little bit more, but last year I definitely had a big relief routine and where it was just I took BP with the guys still, so I still would swing it. That would just kind of get me focused in on baseball and then listen to some music, and then I have my own stretch routine. We just go through, play some catch, and just keep it loose, keep the vibes loose. That's what it's all about.
As far as music goes, do you go for more upbeat stuff? Do you slow it down? What's your go-to? Does it depend on your mood?
I'd only listen to country music.
Only country?
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever the playlist gives me that day, it could be some sad stuff, it could be some happy stuff, but, I mean, we roll with it.
From a pitching standpoint, you picked up your first collegiate win on the mound. That was against St. Scholastica Game 2 on March the 19th. How special was that, getting that first collegiate pitching win, and what was working for you against St. Scholastica?
I mean, personally, nothing was working that day. It was probably one of my worst outings so far.
But it worked.
It did, and that's a big nod to the offense. The offense really picked us up in that bottom half of the inning. I think they put up 5 or 6 because we were down 2. And that just gave us the lead, and then I could hand the ball off to Luke Bruckner, and he got his first collegiate save. So that was pretty cool.
How about from a hitting standpoint? You've been hitting for power. You've been pleased with what you've been seeing at the plate?
I mean, yeah, I don't hit for power. So, I mean, I'll take what I can get.
You're getting, a couple of doubles, a triple in there?
Yeah.
Shriner?
I mean, I think my senior year of high school I had one extra base hit. So I'll take what I can get at this point.
What's the approach when you step up to the plate?
Typically, I just want to be patient, see a strike, kind of see where the ball's coming out of pitcher's hand, and then kind of just go from there.
As you've gotten more and more reps, are you seeing that confidence grow at the plate?
Yeah, I was definitely very nervous at the beginning of the year just because my roles shifted so much in the last 2-3 years that I have been here, because I went from just not even playing to being a reliever to being a high leverage reliever, and then all of a sudden now I'm catching again. And like just that confidence it took to get back to hitting, it took a lot because I just hadn't consistently hit since high school. But now that we're back in the groove of things, I'm starting to feel more confident with my swing.
Let's talk about that emotional roller coaster, if you will, because you come in here and just kind of waiting your turn. How do you keep yourself, upbeat and focused and stay positive, knowing that hopefully that time will come, but for the time being, you're just kind of there?
Yeah, you got to find your light at the end of the tunnel. And so, like, I know my freshman year, at the beginning of the season, when I knew that I wasn't going to play, it was like, okay, where do I need to set my eyes to right now? And it was, let's start next year. So that spring was just like a big development thing for me. And like, I was just a bullpen catcher, so I knew what I could do to make myself better. And it was practice my craft during bullpens. I needed to put on weight, so we just ate the entire time while we were down the bullpen. And that really helped, just putting on that weight. Be a big member in the weight room. Got to be there. And then just set goals. That's all you got to do. Set goals and reach those goals.
You talk about that bullpen. How much fun is it at times to sit out there in right field and just sit with the guys in that bullpen and take in the game?
Oh, it's a blast, especially early on. When we got a lead and stuff, you can relax a little bit more when you know, like, our starter's rolling. He's doing okay. There's a lot of fun stories that can come up from guys. You learn a lot of different sides of your teammates that you just wouldn't learn otherwise, and it's a very interesting experience.
When you look at this roster, would you consider it a younger team? Is it a blend of youth and experience?
I would say overall we're on the younger side. I think we do lack some older guys, and I think part of that is because a lot of the fifth years thing in the last couple of seasons, it really discourage guys and then cause them to just leave the team. And so what we have left for older guys is just, it's not a small amount, but it's not maybe as much as you'd like to see.
And I know a lot of the guys have much bigger roles here this year, too, after a number of faces left and gone from last season. But you look at the newcomers, how have they been fitting in? Chemistry developing nicely?
Yeah. The freshmen, they just slot right in, man. Like, they find their role, and like they find their guys they like to talk to. But I mean, we talk to everybody on this team. You can walk into the caf any day of the week, and you'll see a whole table of baseball guys just sitting there at any time.
I know you guys have fall ball and you have some practices ahead of time, but how important is that spring break trip, in this case to Arizona, just in building that team chemistry and just finding roles and gelling together?
Yeah, I think by the time we hit Arizona, I think our team chemistry is set. Like, we know who we are as a team and like who we want to be. I think it's more about finding roles while we're down there. And that's where you see a lot of mix and matching with different guys in the lineup, trying to see what works, what doesn't work, what could work. And it's just a lot of fun because you see a lot of different guys get different opportunities. Everybody supports everybody. And it's just a blast. A lot of baseball.
Outside of some rainouts, how enjoyable was that trip?
Oh, I love it. I mean, every year my family goes down there, my mom, my dad, my grandparents, because my brother, he goes to Grand Canyon University in Phoenix. So it turns into a big family vacation for us. It's an opportunity to where we can spend time together and just, like, relax.
I understand this year it was only in the mid to upper 60s. So when you guys got back here to play Carroll University, it was almost like Arizona weather.
Yeah. It normally warms up about, like, the second week down there of March. That's what my brother says.
Okay.
And so, like, 65 down there with sun, still fine, though. You're still doing just fine.
So if you had to pinpoint one thing, what's your favorite part about that trip?
This year?
Sure.
Honestly, my favorite part is just seeing my brother show up at the games. He's got a very interesting wardrobe, I would call it. And so, like, when he shows up, all the bullpen guys just immediately, they're like, hey, your brother's here. Like
they know. It's automatic.
They know. It's automatic. Like, as soon as they see him, they know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as conference play gets ready to rev up here down the stretch, and I say down the stretch, but, we get into April and moving on, do you like how this team's coming together?
Yeah. I think early on we've seen some struggles, and you can't pinpoint on one thing because I think on all sides of the baseball we've struggled a little bit at different times. But I think as we're going into conference play now, you saw us get two big wins against St. Scholastica. it's going to help us roll into conference play.
And obviously, when you look at this conference, it really is a who's who. When you look at the likes of Benedictine and Aurora, Falcons hoping to climb the ladder and get in that mix. Upcoming will be at Carthage later on at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow at Lakeland, a doubleheader beginning at 12 noon. Back at Capco Park on Saturday at 12 o'clock versus Benedictine for a twin bill. And be sure to stay tuned to CW Falcons for all kinds of updates, because this time of year you just never know with rain, snow, cold, wind, you name it. How tough is that? You know what you signed up for. It's springtime in southeast Wisconsin, but just never knowing whether or not a game will be played as scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I dealt with definitely in high school too, just being in Illinois. Like, the weather can just be anything at any time. And so you kind of get your general idea of, like, when you might play and when you're not. But what's different about having a turf field now in college is, like, we can move games, like, ahead of schedule if the day before is going to be nice or the day after we know. And so, like, just keeping an eye on that weather, seeing things, and just using common sense. Like, if we know it's going to be, like, 32 or right around that, we might not play just because it's too cold.
Well, the beauty is, too, in some instances you see some of your road games get moved here as well. And you may be the road team in your own ballpark, but still get the opportunity to play on the shores of Lake Michigan. To wrap things up, what goals do you have for yourself or the team here this spring?
Personally, I just want to contribute any way I can every game. That's kind of just the biggest thing is, like, I know maybe I don't hit the ball every game, but if I'm catching, just be the best I can back there, call a good game, be a good person for my pitchers, help them, hold them up. If I'm coming out of the bullpen, just keep firing strikes, get us through an inning, get 3 outs, do my job.
Owen, keep it up. It was great talking with you. All the best to you and the baseball team this spring.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Owen Burns. And when we continue here on Falcon Focus, our focus will shift to softball, being joined by senior outfielder Sydney Erdman. You're tuning to Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin.
I can't imagine being any other profession than an orthopedic surgeon. We have the privilege and we have the responsibility to make people better. We've been fortunate enough to take care of professional athletes. We've also been fortunate enough to take care of our neighbors and friends who trust us to give them back their life.
One of the main reasons I came here was because this is the way healthcare is meant to be delivered. Being devoted exclusively to orthopedic care means that we can focus on delivering specialized care for every patient. And that includes not only the surgeons and the physicians, but also anesthesia, controlling pain, the nurses, and the scrub techs, and everyone in the recovery is dedicated to treating conditions that are very similar for people.
Our tagline is an uncommon focus on you. We think the focus on the patient experience is what sets us apart. Before we make any process or clinical decision at the hospital, we start with the same question: is this what's best for the patient? If we can't answer yes, we move on to the next idea. Our nurses provide care for no more than 3 patients per shift, whereas other facilities, they might provide care for 7 or even 8 patients per shift. We think this personalized care is what sets us apart from others.
I think that dedication to our patients is our number one focus. And you can technically do a good operation, but if you're not centered on the patient, they're not necessarily going to have a great outcome.
The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin is physician-owned. It's physician-led. We have the responsibility to make the right decision for every patient. We also have the freedom to make the right decision for every patient.
The physicians and staff collaborate through regular meetings, weekly and monthly, and with a relatively small team, we're able to change the way we do things if we need to tweak something to make it perfect.
The facility specifically was designed so that quality could be measured and maintained and sustained. When you have 7,000 patients a year receive their surgery here, it's important that patient number 1 and patient number 7,000 receive the same care.
We place an extremely high priority on the patient experience here. We send surveys to each and every person that receives care at our hospital. Those survey results come back directly to me. I review them and share them with our senior leadership, as well as the staff and the physicians that provide the care to those patients.
There's almost 5,000 hospitals in the country that are measured. The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin measures number 1, not number 2, not number 3, not runner-up, number 1 in patient satisfaction in the state of Wisconsin for the last 10 years running.
Welcome back to Falcon Focus, episode number 16 here in season number 5. We are presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. A quick housekeeping note, no show next week. We next join you for Falcon Focus on Tuesday, the 9th of April. As far as this show goes, our focus now shifting to softball, being joined by senior outfielder Sydney Erdman. Sydney, thanks for your time. And as we talk softball, this being your 5th season with the Falcons, how did you end up at Concordia?
I started my recruiting process pretty early because I didn't really know what kind of school I wanted or anything like that. So my dad and I went to a bunch of different schools as my brother was also being looking at colleges and things because he's 2 years ahead of me. So he decided to go play at MSOE for lacrosse. And they actually had a game at Concordia. And so my parents kind of were like, I think you should look at Concordia. It's a really cool school, like the atmosphere that they had when my brother played here. And I knew a couple other family members that went here, so it kind of just fell into my lap, to be honest.
So kind of in a roundabout way, your brother playing for MSOE in lacrosse kind of helped you come to Concordia.
Yes, exactly.
Very
Yep.
unique.
Yeah.
So your time with the Falcons, from a softball playing perspective, how do you feel like you've grown as a player in your time?
Oh my gosh, I've grown so much from my time here. I just remember coming in freshman year, I was really timid and not, I guess a typical freshman of just being scared and not really knowing kind of what to expect. But I've really grown as a person and as a softball player just based on the people around me and getting to know them. And yeah.
So from being timid to look at you now,
Yeah.
being on Falcon Focus talking softball, has your role changed a great deal on this team?
Yeah, throughout the years it's changed a lot. I came in kind of not really sure what my role would be. I was kind of in that mix of being a player that could contribute something on the field. And then kind of as the years went, I grew into more of like a leadership role, which was really special and something I think really good for me because I was able to practice it because then, when we get into the real world, I'll need those skills as well. So I think that's something that really will help me going forward.
You look at your spring of 2023, what a year you put together. You hit .448, third best in the conference. You led the conference with 69 hits, added 21 RBIs. For you, what was working for you at the plate last spring?
I think I was just seeing the ball really well. I just kind of was not trying to put too much pressure on myself, which I think is a big thing that helped me last year. Just kind of having fun with it, knowing like at that time it was going to be my last season, so I just didn't want to think about it too much, just trying to go up there, have fun, and kind of be myself.
Well, you say last year could have been your last season. What fell into place to allow you to come back this year?
Yeah, I kind of the whole season last year I was thinking I wasn't going to play, but kind of as the season went, as I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be over. I was just like, I don't want it to be over. So then I started kind of talking with my professors. I still had a year of school left anyways. So I was talking with them and we kind of figured out a plan to make it work, and it just did. And Coach helped talk me through it, and it just it worked. So it was good.
I know the Falcons are ecstatic to have you back in that lineup. And we mentioned the kind of season you had last year. Talking about your ability at the plate, did your plate approach change at all last year versus the previous, 2-3 seasons?
Yes, I think that my approach at the plate, I kind of was looking for better pitches early in the count. I just didn't want anyone to beat me, technically,
Sure.
So I was just trying to really if that first pitch was a good pitch, I was going to try to swing at it, and it seemed to work. So
How special was it to you to then be named first team all-conference, first team all-region?
Oh my gosh, it was so special. I really was not expecting it at all. I remember being in the hotel room in Fond du Lac for our Oshkosh regional, and I just hearing it, and then everyone, congratulating you. It was so, so special. I really couldn't imagine a better season for me.
Well, let's focus on the team last season because it was a very special year in which the Falcons compiled a record of 40-5, a perfect 23-0 in NAC competition, won the NAC tournament, won the Oshkosh Regional, went on to take on Trine in the Super Regionals, a competitive series that was. What made, in your opinion, last year's team so successful, so special?
We obviously have so many good, talented players on our team and throughout our lineup. But we all are just such good friends, and I think that's really what drove us. We all want to do well for each other, and we all hold each other accountable, which I think is really the key that drove us last season. We just have a really good culture on our team, and it's just hard to beat that when you just everyone wants to do their best.
Sure.
And everyone wants to do well for each other.
Well, at one point, a remarkable 31-game win streak, which, I mean, you just stop and think about that for a second. That ball's going to bounce your direction. You have to get some breaks along the way. 31 straight games in the win column. During that stretch, did you ever feel that pressure? Was there ever that thought process for the team going, hey, let's keep this rolling. It's up to 20. Did you think about that stuff, or you just go out there and play?
No, for me personally, I did not think about it at all. I honestly didn't really know until the last half of what our stretch was, when we kind of started getting more recognition about it. I think our big thing on our team is just having fun with the sport and being able to kind of go out there, and this is what we love to do.
Sure.
So I don't think it was really a thought in a lot of our minds.
What do you mention? There's been and continues to be some very special talent up and down this Falcon roster, and one of those special talented players, pitcher Gina Followell from last year.
Mm-hmm.
How special was it for you from a defensive standpoint, getting to play behind her, watch her pitch, but then also, more times than not when she pitched, there wasn't much for you to do. The ball was never really in play.
Yeah. My fellow outfielder, Maddie Wheat, we always joke how when she was on the mound, we always, and the ball would get hit, we would be, almost not ready in a sense because there were just so few balls that were hit our way, which is awesome. I mean, obviously, I want to have a ball hit to me,
Sure.
but if there's no balls hit to me, that's even better.
You guys are out there picking turf.
Yeah.
And just trying to stay alert and stay awake. Now, of course, last year's team was very good. The team before that was very good, 36-6. You look at the two teams, and obviously a lot of the familiar, players up and down both lineups, but do you compare? Can you compare the two teams? Was it a completely different vibe last year versus 2022?
In a sense, I think it was a little bit, just because, some people, including me, we just got more experience. I feel like the 2022 team helped build us into be the 2023 team. Just from the experience that we got, we were in that first regional, so I can think that kind of prepared us for this second regional that we were in, and kind of just being able to put pressure on ourselves and how to deal with that pressure of what the regional kind of meant.
I'll use the vibe word again here for 2024. What's the vibe this year? There's obviously some very talented players that have since gone on and moved on and have graduated. Still a lot of talent up and down this lineup, but there were some new faces there too. So is there the pressure to try to pick up where last year's team left off, or is there a completely different mindset?
I mean, I think there's always kind of that pressure of picking up where we left off, but I think we have tried to really kind of set our mindsets a little bit different, that we're going to get balls in play, and that's completely okay. We have to be able to make the outs. And that's kind of the game of softball. You're going to pitch it, they're going to hit it, and you have to make the outs. So I think changing our mindset will be really important, and kind of relieving some of that pressure though that we put on ourselves, because it's not really necessary for us to do that. But yeah, I think we're going to be able to settle in a little bit, just trying to get new people in new positions and different things like that. So,
do you see this team as being a younger team? Do you see it as being a blend of youth and experience?
I I think it's kind of a blend because there are some, like, a lot of us, that have returned and who have a lot of experience, but there's also some younger players in key positions like the pitching staff because they're kind of all very new since we did have Gina and Nikki last year. So, yeah, I think it's kind of helping us, older players, to kind of help guide the younger players to be able to kind of do their best and figure things out as well.
No question, when you look at the schedule, this team does not shy away from good non-conference competition on top of what you see in NAC competition. Regardless of wins and losses, how do you feel the season has started so far? You guys starting to find that rhythm and gel?
Yeah. I think so. We still got a couple things to iron out, obviously, but we still, I think, are prepared for conference play to start. We know kind of the teams that are in our conference, how we can play them and stuff, and so I think we'll be ready.
Now it's time to get into the real information here. I understand you have a nickname. Is it Squiddy?
It's
Squid
Squid.
knee or Squid? Just
Squid. Yeah.
How'd that come about?
That was my brother as well. He kind of started that, and then one of my travel coaches kind of picked it up as well, and so then it kind of carried through softball. I don't really know.
Someone was telling me you have like a cheering section too, like it might be a nickname for that too, like the Squid Gang or something to that degree.
It's called the Squid Squad.
Squid Squad.
Yeah, my mom actually made T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
How long has this been going on?
The Squid Squad has probably been going on since 2 years ago, so my sophomore year. I don't know if that's...
What's the membership number for the Squid Squad?
It varies. It varies.
You've also, I understand, have been very busy, but also successful in the classroom. That you've, between softball and your academics, making it work. What is your major? What do you hope to do with it one day?
Yeah. So I am currently in grad school for occupational therapy. So I'm in my last semester. I'll graduate this May. So it's kind of been a long road, but I'm ready for it to be kind of over with school and everything. But yeah. So with OT, I kind of want to possibly work with children. We'll kind of see where it takes me, but that's my current thinking right now.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Get to know you better. Favorite movie or TV show? Or it could be both.
Oh gosh. I like all of the Marvel movies.
Okay.
My roommate and I, a couple years ago, watched them all in chronological order, so it kind of took a little bit.
Took a while.
Yeah. But that was really fun.
Do you have a pregame routine?
Yeah, well, kind of. So when we do our little circle cheer, I always have to stand next to Maddie Wheat. I don't know why. We just always stand next to each other in our pregame cheer.
What would happen if you weren't standing next to Maddie Wheat?
It's never happened.
It's never happened yet so
yeah,
far.
Yeah.
If you couldn't play softball, what sport would you play?
I would probably play volleyball.
And you played 1 year of volleyball in high school, a couple years?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, in high school, yeah. My family is a big volleyball family too, so I'd probably do volleyball. I like it.
If you can go one place for vacation, where would you go, and would you bring the Squid Squad with you?
Oh, of course, I would always bring them. But I would probably go to, I don't know, maybe like Peru.
Okay.
I'd see Machu Picchu.
There you go.
Yeah.
This goes right up your alley with the Marvel movies. If you could have any superhero power, which power would you choose?
I'd probably choose to fly so that I can go anywhere in the world.
That works too.
Yeah.
Do you have any hidden talents?
I don't think so. Not really.
What is one random fact about you that not many people would know?
Oh boy, I'm really bad at coming up with these things, but a random fact. I don't know if I can think of anything.
Well, how about this one? This also putting you on the spot. Final question as far as these go. If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who do you have dinner with?
I'd probably have dinner with maybe like Kat Osterman or something.
Okay.
She's a softball
A
player.
little softball route,
Yeah.
absolutely. Finally, for you from a softball interview standpoint, goals you have for yourself or the team here this spring?
Yeah, my main goal this year, since it's kind of like my last and final year, I just want to have fun. Honestly, I've taken kind of all the pressure off myself. That's my main goal, is just having fun for me personally. For the team, I know we're all looking for another NAC championship, getting to the regionals again. So that would be our team goal this year.
Well, Cindy, Squid, thanks a
Yeah.
lot for your time. All the best here this spring to you and the softball team.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you can see the Falcons in action Thursday, doubleheader at Ripon, and then coming up Saturday, a doubleheader at 12 noon versus Dominican. Be sure to check out CUWFalcons.com for scheduling updates because, as you know, this time of year, everything is questionable with rain, snow, cold, you name it. Welcome to Southeast Wisconsin. We next join you coming up on Tuesday, April 9th. Thanks for watching Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin.